Every year there seems to be a player that everyone falls in love with. This year's candidate is Andy Isabella from UMass. We're going to take a look at the wide receiver next as our 2019 NFL Draft Profile Series continues right here on Dynasty League Football.
The NFL Draft Profile Series, NFL prospects, break it down, let's get it. People's pen and the gridiron scholar, time to do it major. Let's see who running the field, let's analyze the data. Yeah, let's go.
2019 class of wide receivers is an enigma. It has a lot of people, puzzled and perplexed as to who really should be the number one guy this year. I think last year we saw a lot of slot wide receivers. So this year, I'm not sure that the need is as pressing as it was in 2018. I think a lot of holes were filled, but there's always going to be a need for a slot guy. And one of the top candidates for 2019 is the highly productive in college wide receiver from UMass, the diminutive, yet quick and fast, Andy Isabella. John, are you one of the people falling in love with the Minuteman?
I do like Andy Isabella a lot. I was lucky enough to see him at the Rent versus the UConn Huskies, but it was in a downpour earlier this season. He only had 4 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. But because I live in the Northeast, Connecticut's right next to UMass, I have followed this young man for the past 2 seasons. And he exceeded all of my expectations last year on campus for the Minutemen. He was a 2018 Biletnikoff Award finalist. He was FBS Consensus All-American First Team. He led the nation in receiving yards and yards per game this year. In the past 2 seasons, he has recorded over 1,000 yards twice, snatched 167 passes, and scored 23 touchdowns. I mean, this is not a hotbed for football productivity or NFL prospects, but Andy Isabella has come out and really showed us that he deserves an opportunity to be drafted in April. You mentioned the Senior Bowl. He was named the North's most outstanding player in the game. He had 7 receptions for 74 yards and a touchdown. And there are 2 games that I want to highlight that really show you the upside of the UMass wide receiver. He is the only player in FBS history with 300 yards on fewer than 10 receptions in a game, and that came against Liberty. But the game that solidified, in my opinion, his NFL pedigree is when he carved up Georgia in his final collegiate game of his career. He had 15 catches for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. So we've got to understand this. The Minutemen, they do not have the depth and the talent that the Bulldogs have across the board. Obviously, Georgia's number one goal was to slow down Andy Isabella in that game. Now, I had Isabella on my college fantasy football team, and I actually ended up watching that game. He was tremendous, Andy, and that's what gave me, it really said he is an NFL player. So I look at the career stats. We've been talking about there are 3 career categories that I like for benchmark stats. He has exceeded all 3 benchmarks. Receptions, 231. Yards per reception, 15.3. Team catch share, 38% last year for the Minutemen. And I saw the Minutemen play. He was clearly the only player on the team that you had to focus your defensive strength on, and he was still dominating the opponents. So let's look at the scouting report. He's 5'8" and 186 pounds. He's a quick twitch athlete. He's a former track and field star with very good long speed, and he beats corners vertically. He's a versatile playmaker who's a shifty and deceptive route runner. What I like, he has run an advanced route tree on his resume. UMass put him all over the field, and he runs many different routes. So he can be employed in the NFL and pick up an advanced game plan, I believe, rather quickly. Now, he gains separation with head fakes, and he has choreographed stop-and-go double moves. He gets open quickly. He has lightning-fast footwork and elite swiftiness. He's elusive in the open field and thrives in space. He's very durable, Andy, for a young man who's only 5'8" and 186 pounds. He never missed a game at UMass. I'm concerned because he's a body catcher and he double catches throws at times. He must learn to handle press coverage at the next level, and physical defenders could be problematic. I do think he's a classic slot receiver, and I wonder, he might be the perfect guy for Coach Gase with the New York Jets. They desperately need a quick slot receiver, and Gase likes that type of player in his offense, like he had with Danny Amendola last year with the Miami Dolphins. Right now, I have a 3rd/4th round grade on Andy Isabella. I clearly think he has a spot in the NFL, and he could have a very nice career ahead of him. I think his ceiling is capped, but I think he could be a 65-catch guy for 700 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns in his career every season. Andy, you saw him at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. What do you think about Andy Isabella?
Well, speed is definitely his calling card. I just wonder, is it game speed or is it track speed? So an article to start off Senior Bowl week with a friend of mine, Jeff Risden, where Isabella told him he was hand-timed running a 4.2640. I mean, that would put him at the top end of all-time speed for the NFL Combine. I don't know that he's that fast, but he definitely was. He has the track background. He's definitely got the speed pedigree. But again, when you look at it in games, can he get behind the secondary with regularity in the NFL? I mentioned him as a slot guy. You confirmed that. You backed that up as well. Maybe that's prohibiting him a little bit too much. Maybe he can line up on the outside in certain roles at the next level, be that John Ross type of field stretcher and decoy and draw attention, to the other side of the field and deep at that. He did line up everywhere for UMass. You mentioned the double move. His double move fly is his best weapon, where he gets to the outside and then just turns it up and gets behind the secondary. But again, I don't know that he's going to be able to do that with NFL game plans and with consistency. To his credit, he is extremely tough. He's got great hands. He will make contested catches in traffic. He's a chain mover. He's going to have an impact at the next level. He can definitely play in the NFL, but he doesn't force a lot of missed tackles. He needs to get lost by the defense. He's not going to lose them on his own. His jukes don't really sell, and he's a little slow with the ball in his hands when he's trying to set the defender up. One-on-one, straight speed, he's there. He's winning. He's a willing blocker, but it's more about just getting in the way and being more annoying as a blocker than actually moving the pile or anything like that. I do happen to like Isabella a lot. People are going to mention the size. He measured in at just an eighth of an inch under 5'9", so let's give it to him. We'll call him 5'9", which isn't bad. 186 was the weight. His size is fine. His durability is fine. I've seen him get walloped and get right back up like nothing happened. And, he definitely showed that he could handle SEC caliber defensive backs at the Senior Bowl, which, again, Senior Bowl is the Senior Bowl is an all-star setting in an all-star environment. So he was definitely not outclassed or outshined by his peers, and he will definitely hear his name called. I think he's going to get bumped up just a little bit because there is so much intrigue, and the speed is definitely something that moves. We saw DJ Shark get really bumped up because of his 40 time at the Combine last year. I think Isabella is probably going to have some of that happen with him as well. We saw the same thing with John Ross, as I mentioned. Because of that, I think he might leave a little to be desired. I think his draft price might get inflated a little bit more than what he'll be, but I do think he'll be a productive guy at the next level, and he is somebody that I want to take. I just don't necessarily want to reach for him. So, I don't know. Maybe we're right. Maybe we're wrong. Let us know what you think, how you feeling about Isabella. Leave it in the comments below. Make sure to check out all the other players we're covering. And don't forget, at the end of the series, we're going to have our top 50 big board, and then we'll have our top 50 big board post-draft with landing spots included. So check all these out. Thanks for watching us here on Dynasty League Football. And don't forget, go check out expandtheboxscore.com for advanced college statistics to take your game and understanding to a whole new level. Thanks for tuning in today.